Livingstone Building is a homegrown Waikato success story that has prospered locally and nationally for over 70 years. They have grown from a small building team in Te Awamutu into a well-respected national construction company, responsible for the development of landmark buildings throughout New Zealand. Long before the first nail goes in, their professional team have started forming their client's vision into a successful, functional and breathtaking project delivered on time and to budget. Everyone in the Livingstone Building team, from apprentices through to directors, is committed to focusing on client requirements and doing what it takes to consistently deliver top quality projects. Through their dedicated apprenticeship training scheme, Livingstone Building has helped young people throughout New Zealand grow and prosper as they've imparted their skills throughout the construction industry. With 70 years of experience and history behind them, Livingstone Building has laid solid foundations that will see the business continue to rise to challenges, opportunities and building excellence. This is the story of Livingstone Building.
Kavanagh Brothers was started after the Second World War, so in 1947, and at that time Pat and Keith Kavanagh were operating. Pat was the boss and running the office. Keith was still running projects on the site. Pat was great. He was of Irish extraction, so called a spade a spade. He was always dapper, always well presented, and he was a great taskmaster, very, very fair. He was just a really good guy. I joined Kavanagh Brothers in 1977, March 1977, after the Rowing Nationals. They were great guys to work for, but you never ever wanted to be late for work. And as long as you were industrious in your endeavours, you're 100% fine.
I said to Pat, I can start on Monday. He says, no, you're starting tomorrow or don't bother coming. And it's the type of guy Pat Kavanagh was. He was a very strict, hard Irishman, but you knew where you stood. So I started labouring and enjoyed it and got an apprenticeship. I worked a lot with Keith Kavanagh, and Keith had a stroke. So Pat was in his mid-60s and just offered David and I the business. And at that point I was 18 years old.
When we bought in, I would have been 23. So the valuation and the process all took 12 months, and we finally bought into the company in January 1981.
All I had was a car. So to buy my first lot of shares, I sold my car.
In those days I had a house, so I had to mortgage everything up to the hilt. And Dad had to mortgage the farm and the herd to back Mike into the business.
Back then, I don't think we really knew what we were getting involved with, but it seemed like an opportunity. And we did, we bought it. As it were, your balls are on the line every day, and it wasn't easy at all. Here I was, a second-year apprentice, coming into owning a company with my brother, and guys I'd been working with for 3 or 4 years. All of a sudden I'm their boss. We were pricing the work, cost controlling it, managing it, looking after the staff, and just making it work and looking after relationships.
So I started with Livingstone in 1985. The whole company was fairly young in age, and everyone sort of played sports together, and rugby, cricket, whatever it was. So it was all pretty closely knit back then, and obviously a lot smaller than it is today. I think there was only about 15 people when I started. Well, I was a pretty powerfully built 47 kg guy, and turned up for work, and one of the Gary Briscoe, one of the site foreman, and Dave introduced me to Gary, and Gary turned around and said, what the hell am I going to do with him?
When you first looked at him, I wasn't sure that he could actually pick up a wheelbarrow with anything in it, so little whippersnapper.
I remember when he started and everybody's going, who's this guy? But he was ambitious and cheeky enough to make it work and become a very loyal guy within the company.
Mike and Dave, they've really let me just grow in the company, and you know, they've never held me back from trying to achieve what we wanted to achieve.
We bought a premise on the corner of Rickett Road and Hazelmere Crescent, so that was a really good move.
When we bought the second lot of shares, we changed the name to Kavanagh and Livingstone and progressed from there, buying a forestry office from Te Puke, moving that onto the site when we needed more space for more people.
And as the business grew, we actually ended up buying across the road as well for our yard and extended the office.
So in the mid-90s, this block of land through here came available, which was 5 sections. And we ended up building another store shed on here and using this site as for precast panel construction, and eventually selling off one side of it and migrating into this one building for Te Amuru. When we went to Hamilton, we sold the corner site. So this is where we are operating out of here from Te Amuru. This is Te Amuru office where we run our facilities management. Here we've got the team that goes back a number of years of all the guys that have worked for us, and this is just showing the history of the company. And we come over here to Pat Kavanagh, who started off the Kavanagh Brothers business that we ended up taking over from Pat and Keith. And here's an early photo, about 1995, of the original Kavanagh and Livingstone Brothers, just before we changed over to Livingstone Brothers building. And then we have here the originals, which is probably about 10 guys that had worked and done their apprenticeships with Pat and come up as carpenters. Half a dozen of these guys still work for us, a couple have passed away, and others have gone and worked for other businesses. So this is probably the pride of the company. This is where it all started from, and this is what we're trying to reflect.
The brand has changed over the years. It started as Kavanagh Brothers, then Kavanagh and Livingstone, and then it went to Livingstone Brothers once Mike and Dave bought out Pat totally, and then it went to Livingstone Building.
And that's been just over time, you know, you need to have an affinity of where you're heading and what you relate to and how people relate back to the name.
We established with our communication with the Education Board that we needed to be in Hamilton. We considered doing a design build for Tristram Marine, and with that design change for Tristram Marine, a building became vacant, so we were able to move in, do the development for them, and then move into the front portion of their building.
Over time, 6 or 7 years, we outgrew that office. We kept on altering it and expanding, and we sort of outgrew that, and an opportunity came up next door to the office that we're in now.
Even though most of the employees were still Te Amuru based, we started growing Hamilton based employees from there, and it's just grown to Hamilton being the main office now.
We sort of get involved with different industries that lead us into other areas, and you end up going, well, actually we should be here. We can deliver projects in these areas.
Bay of Plenty was a strategic plan because, you know, Mike and Dave have got a lot of development work over there, and we thought we needed to set up a presence over there. So it's been quite neat to see that growth and the new people have taken on.
Taranaki originated from Ray Cooper moving back to Taranaki, and we were lucky enough to win a rest home project in Stratford. We worked on that for a couple of years, and during that time Blake Morgan, once a month he would go down to Taranaki for a week to carry out quantity surveying and management of that project. Very successful, and we actually carried out some other work for the senior project manager on that. We built his house. Later on we were able to move into an office in Devon Street East in 2015. So that's where we are today. The Auckland office was quite pertinent because we'd always done a lot of maintenance work for McDonald's around the country, and so Auckland was an opportunity to provide a greater and faster service to a key client, McDonald's.
We won the tender for the McDonald's in Te Amuru in about 1995, and we delivered that project on time to budget, and then they asked us to start completing other projects for them.
The McDonald's here is sitting on the old TA hotel site. So that was the first one that we did for them, and that was interesting. We had the iwi there, and there was lots of artefacts dug up, and even to the point where we actually found a human skeleton buried in the car park.
We've been loyal to them. I think they've been loyal to us, but then at times, they have to prove that we are delivering to a cost-effective price for them. So that's one hell of a relationship, to be honest. Yeah, we've worked hard at it though, and there's not many McDonald's projects in New Zealand that we haven't done, from Kaitaia to Invercargill, and plus a couple on the islands as well, so pretty proud about that. I don't mind McDonald's.
We decided that we would back the Timaru Event Centre because Timaru was the home of where Livingstone or Kavanagh and Livingstone came from. And so at the Millennium celebrations, we decided that it was appropriate that we contribute towards the naming rights. And it was good, and we were fortunate enough to build it. Both Mike and I helped in fundraising for it as well, so yeah, it became part of Livingstone, I suppose. We were very proud of it, and we wanted to say thank you for Timaru and districts for supporting us for so long.
So Bridgewater was another landmark building for us, I suppose. It was, again, probably the biggest building and first real multi-storey that we had been involved with.
I always remember there was a group of investors that were investing in that building, and we had to present to them. So you present all of the, how you're going to build it, and the people are going to be involved and all this sort of thing. But I finished it off with saying that our company will be proud to deliver a building to you in a completed, beautiful state. That's what got us a job.
So yeah, it was a big thing for the company at that point to work on that and work through it all, and with the different complexities of the building, with the different tenants and tenant fit outs and whatnot. So it was pretty high pressure, but it's just another growing part of the company, I suppose. Just put us on the map really, that we could do bigger jobs.
Basically Livingstone put up 3 people for probably 2 years, designing, pricing, to get that project into the Waikato. And I think it was really the passion that really instilled what we all believed in that helped get the project here through Spark and high performance sport.
That was a real signature build, that it was on time and on budget, and everyone who had anything to do with that from the company did a really good job, and the whole company should be really proud of it, what they've achieved there. And look at how it's been used in the community. I think the numbers that are using the Avantidrome are staggering. The Latter-day Saints building at Temple View, what an amazing building. It would be such a privilege to work on a job like that, because it's such an icon, isn't it? It's just marvellous. You drive past that, it's absolutely beautiful. When you drive past it at night, it stands out, you can see it from a long way. I just love going past our buildings that we've had something to do and built, and just seeing it and think, wow, look at that, that's so cool. And that's going to be an icon for a long, long time.
We see our strength has always been employing our own people. We're in the construction industry. If we're not training people to feed that industry, where are they coming from? And at times we do have to get other people in to give us a hand, but the bulk of our people are our own, and that's the way we see our future, to keep control of things. You can't control everything, and you have to rely on other people to jump on board with you, and with that you try to grow that culture, that they understand that culture.
As the numbers grew, it became more impossible to actually do justice to that, so the CEO was at the end of the day, was the only way to go.
We were in a position of major growth after the GFC. That transition for our own people to have someone as a CEO that wasn't myself, David or Peter, was just a whole different concept for them. Systems had to change, roles had to change, but we had to prepare ourselves for the next stage of the company. You need the growth in your people, you need the training, you need to provide all that, make sure that people, and if you haven't got the people in for the right positions, you just got to go out there and find them. It's made us become, I think, better directors, because we can sit back and have more of an overview.
I joined Livingstone in late 2022. Company rich in history, strong legacy in construction within the Waikato. but also recently expanded and grown into other areas in the North Island. Our people are very proud of our achievements and our delivery of projects. We continue to be committed to building excellence in everything we do. Livingstone have had a long history with Resthaven and Cambridge. We're involved in a design and build project. We're working very closely with Resthaven and our build partners to deliver a multi-storey project in a live environment.
Since starting at Livingstone's, I've enjoyed the challenge of delivering projects like this. Quite a complex build where we start from the ground up and we deliver over time, and seeing the joy in the customers' faces as we deliver the building to them as a finished product.
I'm privileged to have joined Livingstone. I'm looking forward to the journey and continuing to build the legacy.
I think getting involved with the retirement villages with Bupa and MetLife Care, big projects, and you look at what we're delivering, quality, and we get asked back to do their work, and that's what we're here for, you know.
The work environment's got to be a good place to go to, don't you? It's got to be a place that you enjoy working in and you get respected and you're able to do good work. And also understanding how people want to grow themselves and trying to help facilitate that in some manner.
It's simple, isn't it, really? You just got to be passionate about what you do and put that forward and be proud about what you're doing.
The special parts for me for the company is the long-term relationships we have with our clients. You know, McDonald's is 25 years, MetLife Care's over 10 years, Bunnings, Farm Sources, it goes right back to the Anchormart days. So, you know, those are the ones that we're still working for now. So that's the things that are real special for me, are those relationships, and that's what keeps the company strong, I believe.
You know, without the love and support of your wife and the family, you actually can't go and do your job. And that's, to me, that's incredibly important. I take that as a team thing about when I was playing rugby. One of my first rugby coaches said, make sure that when you go home, you got everything right at home, because you cannot and will not perform to a level that I need you to perform unless the family environment is top notch.
My brother and I have always been team players. We've always played in teams. We've actually been a part of good teams. If you've got a strong culture, you've got a strong team. And people have got to have something to follow as well. They'll follow strength. So it's actually getting a core of strengths and getting people on board.
The Christmas parties were always great, really, back in the day.
The Christmas parties of old, they were amazing. She was rough and tumble, all right?
They were pretty exciting. The earliest Christmas parties I can remember was just the old commercial hotel in Te Awamutu with a group of guys having a few beers, and as the company grew, you end up going to places, and they finished an hour earlier each year. Now we finish at lunchtime. So this is a celebration of what goes on in a year, and hopefully we bring all our guys together and they can celebrate that together, you know. And it's a big sign-off for the company.
Oh, it's important because everyone gets together and is able to see each other and share stories and give each other a bit of grief about what's happened during the year. So, you know, it's really important to get everyone together, even though it's getting bigger and bigger every year.
We can't build a company by ourselves, can we? We've got to have a whole lot of other people helping us. So you've got to have a culture that shows that you have empathy for people and you care about them, and it's just a good opportunity for photos. And we've had photos, I think, way back to the 1980s, and so you just get that connectivity and history about what makes Livingstone.
I'm pretty pleased with what we've achieved and the company that we've built and the people that we've brought through and the people that we've trained.
That's why we've got so many people that still work for us that have been here a long time.
Getting good people around us, that's probably the thrill I get. I'm thinking, man, we've got some good people coming on board. It's great.
From the originals with Pat Kavanagh and the 12 of us at basically the forefront of the company back in the early 80s, up to where we are now with all the big numbers. So it's great. It's great having all of those photos that tells you where we come from.
I see people come into our office and they see that wall and they go, oh, yeah, some history here, eh? And it's something to behold and be proud of.
There's a lot of people with a lot of ability that'll be able to take this company even forward more and grow it bigger and better.
it's building and looking back and looking at what you've built, having a bit of pride and going, yep, we've done that, you know.
Livingstone, building excellence.